I am delighted to have an opportunity to do this podcast again. And this time I have Emmie with me from Hummingbird Naturopath. Now, Emmie, obviously, we've known each other for...
Too long?
I tell you, for about 3 years-ish,
Yeah,
maybe
must
4
be.
now. And we connected because I was doing the same course as you. Now, I didn't get to finish it, but you've qualified and you've launched yourself as a naturopath, self-employed naturopath, over 2 years ago now, or just about 2 years ago.
Over 2 years, yeah.
Yeah. And it's been amazing to have you working with us at the charity Together Against Cancer. So, first of all, do you want to introduce yourself, give us a little bit of your background and your story, and go from there?
Yeah, sure. So, you know me as Emmie, and I am the Hummingbird Naturopath. And I would say that it is more than a job. This is my vocation. I always knew that this is what I wanted to do. It took me a long time to get here. But no, this is my calling, and I feel very, very comfortable doing it. And I'm really, really pleased to be able to collaborate with Together Against Cancer. I've had so much from the centre, as well as giving, because it's always a two-way conversation. And the workshops that we run, I mean, we've just finished one. It was fantastic.
Oh, it was buzzing this morning.
Yeah, it was really buzzing.
buzzing.
I think, A, because we've had the summer off, haven't we? And B, people are ready to get back into something now.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a really good subject as well. You know, we're not just talking about cancer, are we? Because people with cancer obviously have other things going on. But no, it's a great workshop, and that's what I love to do. I love to talk to the people. It's very natural for me to do that. My background is one of a hard lesson, maybe, which I think a lot of people who go into a kind of vocationally inspired career, a lot of those sort of people have that kind of background where they've been through something themselves, whatever it may be. So at the age of 25, I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis.
That's major. A lot of people have MS these days.
Relapsing and remitting, and it's very common for that kind of age to develop relapse and remitting. It's sort of mid-20s, late 20s, or mid-30s tends to be quite a stereotypical time. So this was a bit of a shock. You know, I was working in the clothing industry. I was flying high, had a very successful career, just due up for promotion. I was on a first-line manager's course with Manchester University, doing really, really well. And it just came out of the blue. And it wasn't apparent to begin with. The first symptom that I had was that I lost my balance.
Oh.
And at that point, I went to the doctor. I actually went to work and was due to go on the course. And they sent me home and they were like, Emmie, what are you doing? You know, it's ridiculous. Go home. I was like, oh, okay then, type of thing. Didn't suspect anything. You wouldn't do, would you?
You wouldn't do. You just lost your balance.
Just feeling a bit dizzy, a bit sick. Lost my balance a little bit, feeling a bit wobbly. Went to the doctor and they diagnosed labyrinthitis, inner ear infection.
Which is the inner ear, yeah.
So that, you know, that all made sense. I think they gave me, maybe it was antibiotics or something else. Anyway, whatever it was. And from then on, I rapidly went downhill. And I was paralysed down the right-hand side.
My goodness.
And it just got worse from there.
What's rapidly? What was it?
Within the space of a few days.
Whoa.
After that, yeah, it was very rapid decline.
It was very traumatic as well.
It was a big shock at 25, for it to come out of the blue. And at that point, I remember going back to the doctor at the end of the week, saying this is what had happened. I'm numb down the right-hand side. And they sent me immediately for an MRI at Leicester Royal Infirmary on a Saturday morning, the next day. And at that point, that's where they saw the lesions, which are almond-shaped areas of inflammation in the brain surrounding the myelin sheath of the nerves, which is why you have so many different symptoms.
Symptoms because it attacks the nervous system and not
it's attacking. It's an autoimmune disease where your bodily defences are in overdrive and they were attacking the myelin sheath. And if you think about your nerves as an electrical wire and the myelin sheath is the insulation, it was attacking the insulation leaving lesions, and so that's where you're misfiring, and that's where you can get so many different symptoms depending on where the lesions are.
So now that you are where you are today, and if you look back at what happened prior to those symptoms coming along, can you see?
Absolutely,
Can
because
you see the path, the progression of the disease before it actually showed up in something tangible?
Yes, absolutely. And you can never say definitively that it is one thing. And I think this is a mistake that a lot of people with chronic illness try and make, because it's human nature to always want to make sense of something, to know where it comes from.
Something.
Yeah.
But it's from the training that I had with you at the time, I know it's a combination of different elements.
Yeah. And whenever we take a case study, which is the first thing we do, we always go back to grandparents, great-grandparents. And, with epigenetics now, we know that sort of trauma and information and whatever is kept in the cells 9 generations beforehand.
9 generations? Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So from there, I used, as part of our training, we had to use ourselves, didn't we, and do a case study on ourselves.
Yeah.
So it was very interesting for me to look at myself as a third party and step back and have a look at that and sort of separate myself and see myself as a case study.
Instead of the emotional side of what you went through.
Not have that emotional charge to it, but look at it as a professional rather than me just worrying and making inferences and assumptions and things, but to look at myself in black and white on paper. That's a scary thing to do, and it's...
And that means being realistic and being honest with yourself.
It means taking responsibility.
Yeah.
And that's something that we all need to do, because even if things aren't our fault in life, we still have a responsibility to sort them out.
There's a responsibility for everybody to take care of themselves the best way they can.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of information out there, and I know it's very, very, very confusing with the internet having a myriad of things being shared. We will touch on that later on. But taking responsibility is what you did back then, and that's what you're trying to teach people to do now.
Absolutely. I was so severe at that age that I was offered chemotherapy, which was a trial. Yeah, I've not had cancer, but I do understand the treatments and I've experienced them. So I was offered chemotherapy as a trial, which went hand in hand with a lot of other medications. And I'm not saying whether it did or didn't work, because we will never know, because we'll never know how I would have been without it. But at the time, I was in such a place that it was kind of, and also it was very fear-driven.
Of course.
You're in a place where you really want to take action, you really want to sort something out, and if someone offers you something, you're going to take it.
Of course.
Yeah, you're going to do it. And I saw it as an opportunity, because it wasn't being handed to everybody. So it was like, yeah, let's go ahead, we need to do something. So it's driven by desperation, really, and I didn't know any better, to be honest. So I had the chemotherapy, hand in hand with that went steroid treatment. Then after that, there was various disease-modifying medications, which we're talking about glycerin acetate, beta interferons. But it was the side effects of all the drugs that were causing the problem, not necessarily the MS.
I get that, because I see that with the cancer patients now. Obviously, they go through their treatment, which is, the NHS do what they can. We know the capacity of it. We know that it can help prolong life potentially, but the side effects is where people really struggle. And this is where we aim to support people as much as possible with those. So what kind of side effects did you have back then?
Back then, it was all kinds of, obviously the side effects of the chemotherapy completely wiped out any kind of immune system that I had. So my white blood count was very, very low. I was picking up infections right, left and centre. I couldn't eat properly. I was not absorbing things properly. I had really terrible constipation. And they sound like, when you talk about things like constipation, you think of it as a minor thing, but actually it's major.
No, if you can't go, it's awful.
Yeah. Steroids, they were awful. They gave me terrible insomnia. As a result of the steroids, I was taking proton pump inhibitors as an injection to begin with, and then I was self-injecting.
I know what a proton pump inhibitor is, but can you translate that into plain?
Yeah, so we're talking about dampening down hydrochloric acid production in the stomach.
Which is the stomach acid.
So the steroids were there to dampen down inflammation, but they also have the effect of eating away at your stomach lining, because they are so acidic. So in order to counteract that, they give you protein pump inhibitors, which are supposed to reduce the acidity in the stomach to protect it.
Yeah.
So I was picking up carrier bags full of medication.
Oh gosh, I've seen so many people that do
You
that.
know,
I feel for people like that.
And it just struck me one day. I was like, I've been, I'm 20, at this point I'm probably about 26, 27, and I'm picking up carrier bags of medication.
It's not right.
Yeah, and it was a real kind of, what am I doing moment? Because at that point I was on antidepressants.
Bless
I
you.
was anorexic. I was probably down to 7 stone 10 at my lightest. I'm 5'8", so that was not a good look. That was not a good look.
Oh.
So, that it had such a massive effect on me as a whole person. And we know as well that the medical, sort of industry or professional or approach, if you like, likes to chop people up into systems, into separate systems, because then, it's that reductionist kind of philosophy where we can do more good if we home in on the detail. Mm-hmm. And so I was seeing X amount of consultants for X amount of different things, when actually they're all connected.
They're all connected, yeah.
And that at that point when I was picking up those carrier bags full of meds, and I'm thinking, this is not right. Mm. That's when I went to see my consultant, and I said to him, I'm not taking these anymore. And he turned around to me and said, I don't blame you.
Sometimes, yes, you've got to take action into your own hands. And obviously you did that, because you wouldn't be here the same way you are now today.
No, and I was quite fortunate, because my background growing up in Wales, because I'm from Wales originally, was always organic veg. Dad grew all our own organic veg. He was the landscape designer. Mm-hmm. Mum treated us with homeopathic medicines. We were very, very connected to the earth, to nature. We were outdoors the whole time, to the seasons, to what went on with the animals, the trees. It was just second nature. So it felt very alien to treat myself as that chopped up person. Mm-hmm. Of just,
and popping a pill for every single thing.
Popping a pill, and it was just getting ridiculous. It was just
so what did
not
you
for me.
do? What did you do, Amy?
That's when I learned. That's when I just, I did a lot of research. I think the swank diet was the first one that I came across, that was specifically for people with MS, and basically it was to do with increasing omega-3s and reducing seed oils, and a lot of it was very alkalizing, so it was getting rid of gluten. Gluten was a big thing for me. Mm-hmm. Getting rid of all those sensitivities, because my gut was a mess by that point. Chemotherapy and steroids have completely eaten at my gut biome, which is the basis of your immune system. It's responsible for 70% of your immune system.
Can we just say that again? This is the major statement that everybody should understand. Your gut microbiome, your gut biome, your gut flora, everything. Your bacteria in your gut, whatever you want to call it, we are in synchronicities with those babies in there. We don't see them, but we've got to look after them.
We are there to work in partnership with them. Yeah. We give them the environment that they need. They give us short-chain fatty acids and all kinds of other things.
They break things down for us and allow us to assimilate things in the format that we need in our organs.
Yeah.
So please, people, look after your gut microbiome.
Yeah. They look after our brain. They look after our mood. They look after so many things.
We'll touch on how you can do that in a minute.
That's another story.
Yeah.
But no, so it was...
So you changed your diet to
I changed my diet completely and changed my lifestyle. Stress had to go out the window. That was that was the main thing. That is the driver of the majority of dis-ease these days. And when I'm talking dis-ease, I'm saying dis-ease because we're talking about body, mind, and spirit.
Yeah. Anything where somebody's not feeling 100%, like get up and go first thing in the morning, you've got some sort of dis-ease.
Yeah.
And that's where you've got to start with your gut. Got to start with your gut.
Because our natural state is to be joyfully happy. That is how we should be.
That's how we designed.
And we've our normals change, don't they? We become so used to
not being well,
not having that energy, and not understanding that that's not right. And it's slow. It's so slow that you turn around one day and you realise a lot of it we sort of put down to aging, don't we?
That's what we've been told. Oh, you're getting older. That's normal. I refuse that now. I absolutely refuse that now. So from the time that you started changing your diet to to where we are now, obviously you've seen a difference in yourself.
Oh gosh, absolutely.
And has it impacted people around you as well?
Well, it was a massive relief to my mum, to my family, to see the difference in me, because it was rapid. You know, it's amazing the capacity that the body has to bounce back if you give it the right environment. And this is the basis of naturopathic healing. You know, I am a naturopathic healer. I call myself a naturopathic healer because I heal with food, but I also look at the emotional side. I also look at the spiritual side. It's not just about what you eat. It's about how you cleanse, how you support yourself, how you support what we call the terrain, the environment that's within your body.
Disease, not just the body, but your house as well.
Yeah,
the people
your environment,
with,
everything you know, around you. Any kind of toxic element that can stress you. And when we're talking about stress, we're talking about internal and external stress, because the body does not recognize the difference. And that's a really important thing for people to understand.
And it doesn't recognize the difference between what you're thinking, imagining, or what you're experiencing.
No, it's exactly the same physiological response which will happen in the body. That adrenaline will be released, that sugar will be released, you know, it's exactly the same effect.
Yeah. So Together Against Cancer started back in 2008. It was a charity that was grant giving. The previous managers did a wonderful job touring the country and sharing the same message around what naturopathy was, how complementary therapy can support people. But then the decision was made to open a centre in Leicester. So we've been here at the Trunway Business Centre since 2016. And offering therapies to cancer patients, talks, educational workshops like you have done today around naturopathy, stress management, mindset, all of this. I came along around 2017, but the reason I came along to the charity is because, one, I lost my mom to cancer when I was 15 and she was 15. So that's obviously stayed with me and it created all sorts of traumas and so on, which I've resolved now. I'm happy and you've helped with that. Thank you. But my son's got an autoimmune disease called nephrotic syndrome, which is to do with his kidneys. So his immune system is attacking his kidney cells. They shrink and then they let protein through to his urine where they shouldn't be there. So he's got very frothy pee in the morning. So if you look at the toilet, you should look at your toilet bowls, people. You should look at what's going on in there. It gives you an indication
Don't
of
afraid.
Don't be afraid of looking at your number twos. And then he'll do water retention, and that means the protein's not staying in his bloodstream to feed his organ, and he gets tired and so on, all sorts of issues. So he was 7 years old when he was diagnosed. The first year he was treated just on steroids, and then the second year he wasn't quite responding the same way, so they started putting him on some other drugs. And I'm one to go and look at things and do my research, and when you read the little leaflet that's in those boxes and you see the potential side effects, as a mother, I was like, no, I'm not happy with this. So I started challenging the consultants and asking questions like, what can I do to support him as his mother? What kind of diet should he be on? And the answer was just like, oh, no, you don't need to change anything. I was like, well, that doesn't make sense in my head. I was like, okay, well, what triggers this autoimmune disease? My son's label with having an autoimmune disease is major. What triggers it? Oh, we don't know. That was the answer I got. We don't know what triggers it. I thought it was 2015 or whatever year it was. I'm like, this day and age, you're a consultant. You've gone through 6, 7, 8 years of medicinal training.
Yeah, but 2 weeks of nutritional training.
That's my point. That's going to come to that. And I thought, really? And I started doing my own research. And then when I went back a few months later with, I've seen that this helps lower inflammation in the body, blah, blah, blah. And they started asking me questions. Have you got a medical training background? I was like, no, but I'm intelligent enough to do my own research. And through all the research, thank goodness for the internet, that I found, the more scary it was, to be in a way, because it made me realize that, unfortunately, because of the modern revolution and the easiness it is for us to access food these days, we don't have to hunt for our food. We don't have to work so hard for our food. So one, we're eating way too much as human beings these days anyway, but also the quality of it. It's been processed foods, ultra-processed foods. It's just, you don't spend the same amount of calories to just get your food, but then the food that you get is not the same quality it always used to be. And I thought, right, okay, I've got to change that, go back to where I come from. And I come from a farming background, very similar to you. My parents used to grow their own veg. We used to have to go and pick them and work hard to just peel the peas out of the pods. And I thought, right, we need to go back to organic, fresh, not superfood, like, the odd takeaway, whatever. Improved our diet a little bit, and that helped him. But then obviously the stress environment, the stress impact, and I gathered that the stress that I had in my life also impacted him. Try to manage that as well. And over the years, he's done not too bad. He's still officially got his autoimmune condition, but he's nowhere near reacting as much as he used to. Because with my help, he's learned to manage what he's putting into his body, and he's keeping stress at bay as well. So yeah, I'm glad I've done that. But I was looking for a place that would support us. And somehow I came across Together Against Cancer, and I felt very lucky that this was literally on our doorstep in Leicester. So I just walked in. And I went, hi, just want to see what you're doing. And the lady called Melanie welcomed me around, showed me around, and explained obviously they couldn't support my son directly because, one, he didn't have a diagnosis and he was under 18, but I could come along to all the workshops. So my first interaction was a workshop like you delivered this morning, and learning all these things. And I was just absolutely blown away by that place. And I kept saying, one day I'm going to work it. I couldn't quite afford to work part-time at the time, so I didn't. I used to volunteer there for a while and doing admin and so on. And as soon as I could, I got a job there, and I started working January 2020. And then a wonderful thing called the lockdown happened. I won't mention the other word, which forced us to upgrade a lot of things. It gave us the time, to be fair. I feel it was a blessing for the charity. It gave us the time to upgrade a lot of systems and go from there. And my role grew and grew, and I took over the management 2.5 years ago. And I feel very blessed that I've been able to just push it
and
forward.
And you've developed the place.
The place is buzzing. Every day is busy. And I wish we didn't have so many people to have to support. But unfortunately, we all know that it's 1 in 2 these days that get a cancer diagnosis. So the demand is there. Demand is absolutely there. And I think people are more and more open to the idea of using complementary therapies and looking at your food, your nutrition, your stress, your mindset, on top of doing whatever the NHS is offering.
Yeah, I think people have an innate knowing. You know, and it takes something like that to put the spotlight on it. And again, it's about people wanting to empower themselves, isn't it? And be able to do something for themselves, taking that responsibility.
Absolutely.
So the charity does such an amazing job at allowing people, it's that gateway, isn't it, for people to learn more about that.
Yeah,
in
there is
a
so much to
non-judgmental
learn.
environment where they're completely safe.
Yeah, and you could just be true to yourself, honest, because we don't judge. You can talk about whatever you want. If you want to come in and have a chat and talk about the worries that you have, the fears, we do that. We know that it's not just the cancer patients as well. We do the support for for their carer as well. And sometimes it's the carer that needs it more.
Yeah.
Because they're taking on the stress from everybody, and they're more worried for the other person than the person's worried for themselves.
Yeah.
So we do an all-rounded support as much as we can, and the people that really embrace all of it, they fare much better than the ones that don't, because they're then looking at themselves and looking to resolve what's going on with their trauma, with their mindset, physically as well, and all starting with their food as well. So yes, I'm very grateful for this place, and I love what we do. Going back to you being a naturopath, to a lot of people, that means gobbledygook.
Yeah.
What kind of training or background, what did you have to do to get this qualification, and what does it mean?
Well, I was lucky because originally I trained as a psychologist, so I had a degree in applied psychology, and that was the route that I wanted to go down. So I've always had that interest in the emotional side of things. I got sidetracked into the clothing industry, which was great. That was great fun, but came back to my roots. So even though I had that background, I always knew that I would come back around to doing something like this, and it was a natural progression. When I had kind of recovered quite a bit and I was physically fit again, my next job, and I think this was quite a big part of my rehabilitation, if you like, sort of emotionally and physically, was that I worked on an organic farm.
Wonderful.
That was literally 2 miles down the road. It was run by an amazing couple called Ruth and John, who are no longer with us, unfortunately, because they were in their 80s when I knew them.
Oh, wow.
Still running this farm, and they'd planted a vineyard in 1976. In Leicestershire. Everyone thought they were bonkers. Had this organic vineyard, and everything was organic. So we did box schemes. It was like one of the first box schemes in the country. very low key, but they were happy doing their own thing. And so I got myself a little job there.
We need that more and more.
Yeah. And from there, I got promoted to manage the place, and I loved it, absolutely loved it. And again, it was going back to my roots, so it felt so natural to do. And it's one of those things, isn't it, that when you're doing the right thing for you, it feels right. You know, there is no resistance, is there?
Yeah.
Everything's easy.
It's not stressful. Don't get me wrong, there is stress. Part of the job is stress, but to me, none of it is really stress.
No.
I'm happy to come along and come to work.
When you're doing something that gives you that joy.
And if I could afford to do it for free, I would do it for free.
Yeah.
Because it's just so rewarding to help all those people. Even today, I just got another 2, 3, 4, 5 hugs from clients.
I know.
They love it.
It's lovely really to grateful. See. It really is. Yeah. But that was a massive rehabilitation. And again, it sort of reinforced my own sort of philosophy about things. And it reinforced my kind of, it shaped my lifestyle, if you like. So the activity was great, the being out in nature was great, the light was great, the food was great. Everything kind of clicked into place. It was a really good opportunity for me.
So how did you come across to the notion of naturopathy?
I was working for myself. I was doing various bits and pieces. And then I decided to do a nutrition course. And it was a diploma. It wasn't very highly qualified. It wouldn't have qualified me to practice or anything, but it was a stepping stone, and it's something I knew I wanted to do. And I did this course, and it was very much tailored towards being a dietitian. It was very traditional. It was quite medical. It was quite calories in, calories out, macros, that kind of way, which is great if you're working down a gym or, you know, if weight loss or something like that is your focus. But I knew that it was more than that.
You wanted to get deeper in that.
Because of the emotional side of things, because of my interest in minimizing the stress and understanding the connection between everything, I knew that it needed to be a more holistic approach. So that's why I'm a nutritional healer, but I call myself a naturopath because I do have a look at the emotional side and the spiritual side. So I'm also a belief coder, which is a matrix re-imprinting kind of modality, which deals with emotional trauma. And I'm also a theta healer, which is an energy healer using quantum energy healing. So from that point of view, I am looking at the whole of the person.
I'm looking of the person.
Yeah, and I always take an energetic approach.
And the qualification for being a naturopath practitioner, which is an NP.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's medical practitioner and there's naturopath practitioner. So what did you have to do for that? What did you study? I just want to make sure people understand the background of what you've had, the depth of what you've had to do to get this qualification.
I did a practitioner's diploma with the Nutritional Healing Foundation, which we were both on.
Yeah.
And that allows me to practice. It allows me to have my insurance. It means that I am qualified to do what I have. It's a very intense course.
It was.
You need to know your physiology and anatomy. It is not easy. It's not easy. I did not finish it. Yeah,
anatomy and physiology. Oh my goodness, that went down to things I never even heard of in biology courses at school.
Yeah, we're going down to chemical levels here.
Yes, it was
biochemistry. Yeah. Love it, but you have to have that background. You can't do one without the other.
It did open my eyes to a few things. I mean, the first penny dropped for me when we touched on the liver. You know, the first was the gut system, and I never knew that the liver breaks things apart and then puts them back together before it goes off onto the organs.
The liver does so many things. This is the thing, very underrated.
We're playing Tetris with the liver.
Yeah. Kind of all your proteins are broken down into little pieces of Lego, and then your cells have got the code to put them back together.
And we've only got one liver, and I know it can regenerate itself a little bit to a point, but we've got to look after our livers.
Yeah, the liver has a lot.
It's just as important as your heart. Yeah. So you've had...
So I was lucky. So I've got a degree in psychology. Then I had this basic kind of nutritional certificate. Now I have my practitioner certificate. Now I'm an advanced belief coder and theta healer. So everything has come together for me to allow me to practice and offer this to people as a complete package.
Wonderful. And I when I met you, obviously we clicked very quickly, didn't we?
Yeah.
This is what happens, people. When you meet the people you're meant to meet, you just go bonkers on them.
But it can't be helped. If it's meant to be, it'll be
helped.
Yeah.
So now that we know what your background is, a little bit about your story, obviously you've had a tough time, so you can relate to cancer patients, and obviously coming to the charity kind of felt right for you.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So I'm very grateful you're agreed to come
and it's
along.
great fun, and it's something that I really love as well, because
the interaction with
it's
people.
all very well being, sad, because I work remotely a lot. I work in person and remotely. I have clients all over the world, but that can be a little bit lonely, and to come out and just talk to people, because all naturopaths are teachers.
Correct.
We're not there to heal you. We're there to teach you how to heal yourself.
You can't heal somebody.
No, you can't.
You can only give them the means to go and let the body do its work.
There is absolutely no point in me handing out information and diet plans and things like that, because that diet plan will come to the end. That client will get bored with that diet plan. That is not education. That is just regurgitation almost.
And I feel that's the difference between some of the practitioners out there and what you're doing. So with the naturopathy approach, how I know you've had some cancer patients directly coming to you. How have you seen what you do, how it can impact them as soon as they've got their diagnosis, before they even start the treatment? What could they do to prepare themselves for the treatments that they're about to do, whether it's chemotherapy or operation or radiotherapy? What can they do during the treatment? Because that's a different phase. And what can they do after?
Look, it's all about going back to basics. It's all about alkalizing the body. It's all about preparing the terrain. It will always go back to making sure that that terrain is as non-hospitable to that cancer cell as possible.
So what does that mean to alkalize the body?
Well, alkalizing the body means changing your diet so that you're removing anything that creates acid in the body, because
or inflammation.
Well, acid creates inflammation. The two go hand in hand. We can't separate them. So on a scale, all foods are on a scale of acidity and alkalinity. So at the top of the scale, we have the fruits, the veggies, the things that we know are good for us, anything that's colourful, anything that's fresh. And the further down towards the acidic you go, the more toxic it is. So we have fresh fruits and veggies at the top. Then we're moving down towards the grains and things like that. Then we're moving towards the dairy, and then the meats, and the sugars and the junk and all of that sort of thing. So
pre-packaged food, you just
pre-packaged, ultra-processed food. Ultra-processed food is not food.
No, it's not food. It doesn't actually feed your cells. It just...
The body does not recognise it as food. It's a combination of chemicals that's been put together. That's what it is.
Got a bold statement there, Amy.
Yeah, I know it's a bold statement, but that's the truth of it.
But it's true.
That is the truth of it.
There's many people that are either sports related or nutrition related out there that are coming out with the same message.
Yeah.
And all saying the same thing is go back to real foods. That's your first lesson. Go back to real things that have grown, that have been picked, that have been baked like on the one-on-one level, not industry, like factory level, because they do not have the same composition in there. Even just the bread.
Yeah.
There's a bread that you buy that's been cooked, 3-4 weeks ago, still packaged, sliced,
There's
whatever.
There's a reason why things don't go off.
They don't go off. You can keep that bread for a week at home, not a problem. If you buy a fresh load of bread, sourdough, and even make it yourself, like you do, a week later, it's gone hard.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, if you've ever gone to France, there's only fresh bread there.
Yeah.
Oh, I do miss fresh bread from France. It's not the same, you can't. You can see the difference between something that's real and something that's got so many chemicals in it.
Instinctively, it's not real.
Just go back to what you people used to do when you were kids. Parents knew a bit more than what we do now. I think we've lost touch with what proper nutrition is.
And I think it's one of the. It's just people are time poor, under so much stress. When you think about, the lifestyles that we have these days. And I had this conversation with someone the other day where, years ago, we would have only been concerned with maybe a 10-mile radius of where we lived, the
Correct.
villages that we lived in, the people that were surrounding us, they would have been the problems that we would have, been aware of.
Your own little community.
Now we've expanded so massively that we're worrying about problems that the other side of the world, and I'm not saying we shouldn't worry about them, but we are overexposed to stressful stimulus. The internet obviously has opened our world, hasn't it? So that is a double-edged sword, and that's where we need discernment.
And that's why a few years back we had this major thing happening all over the world, and I decided that I was no longer going to watch the news because I got so stressed with it, and it was really impacting my levels. And I thought, no, I can't control it. I can't control what's going on in the world, so why should I always be aware of what's going on? And I no longer watch any TV. I don't have TV. Yes, I still watch some streaming stuff because I still have a little bit of entertainment that way. But if there's anything going on in the world, I will always find out anyway, because either somebody's going to tell me, or Facebook tells me somewhere, somebody would have posted something somewhere. So I no longer need to watch the news.
Quite often I'll say to my partner, is there anything I need to know about today? Because he looks at the news, he has it on his phone and it comes up. And
so you're using him as a filter.
Yeah, so he filters it all out and I'm like, is there anything I need to know? And he's like, no, not really. Yeah. That's good enough for me.
One of the questions that I had, obviously we talked about how the approach should always be lower your acidity, lower your inflammation, get your body back away from being acidic and into alkalinized status. It's really, I had some questions around oncology treatment and so on, but it's all the same answer really. Yeah. But from a naturopath point of view, I wanted to touch on the 5 pillars of health.
Yeah.
Because I think that's was a major moment for me in learning about this, and how really you need to look at these 5 elements for you to have a well-rounded...
Yeah, and it's healing at a cellular level, because what it does is the cells are a direct reflection of you. So in the same way that we have organs that do different jobs, every cell has its own little organs that do its own
job.
Yeah, it mirrors us. Mm-hmm. So we are our own universe, if you like. We're responsible for every single one of those cells. So, and I know it may sound a bit out there, but to those cells that are in your body, we are God. We are the ones.
I like that. But you can hear yourself think, right? That's your consciousness. The consciousness dictates what's going on in your body. You can affect that.
Yeah.
And this is where
thoughts.
We will touch on that again in a minute, but the concept of gratitude comes from that.
Yeah.
So having a plate of food in front of you, and in the past, if you were religious, you do your prayers, you say thank you for your food. Well, that's telling your cells, please welcome this food into our system. Now, if you are somewhere and you're like, oh, I'm not going to like this, or this is going to make me fat, and this is going to really affect me, or it's going to make my blood sugar high. I've got diabetes and so on.
The guilt will do more harm than eating that piece of cake, especially if it's homemade. Eat the cake.
Exactly. So now whenever I feel like I want a little bit of a treat, or I make something, I've stopped being negative towards my food now. I'd much rather be grateful towards it. It's like, thank you for this treat, and then I'll deal with whatever I've got to do later on. But I've realised that it doesn't affect me as much now. My weight is more steady than ever over the last few years because of this. First of all, being grateful, and then the attitude towards your food. But I wanted to touch on the 5 pillars of health. So the first one, which I think we both got taught, and I can see why it's really key, and I say this to cancer patients that come to us as well, is hydration.
Hydration and energy, yeah.
Hydration.
They go hand in hand.
Now, why hydration?
Hydration. Now, my idea of hydration and the layperson's idea of hydration may be a little bit different.
It will be very different.
Because some people, they think of hydration, they think about drinking water, they think about maybe getting a little bit of a headache or a dry mouth if they're a bit thirsty. They think it's thirst, but thirst is actually the symptom that you're dehydrated. And by the time you've become thirsty, you're majorly dehydrated. So there are all kinds of signs that you can pick up on, whether it's your skin being a bit dry and not bouncing back, whether your eyes are dry, whether you do have that thirst, whether you're constipated. There's all kinds of signals, headaches.
But we need to define what constipation is.
Constipation is not going regularly for you, but it should be at least every time you eat. So if you eat 3 times a day, you should be going 3 times a day.
What I say this to a lot of people when I'm on the market at the weekend for what I do, and they look at me like I'm crazy. So what do you mean I should be going every time I eat? Well, you're putting food in, so obviously you should naturally get food out at the other end. And it's like, well, I just go once a day. I was like, you're mildly constipated. Then you don't realise it, but you are.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I see the difference between when I take the probiotics that I take and when I don't, because that's usually what makes the difference. I just need that little bit extra to just get me to go 2-3 times a day,
Yeah. And the same with hydration. By the time you're constipated, you are massively dehydrated because the body is trying to scavenge back any kind of moisture that it possibly can.
So it draws it out from the food that you're trying to process.
Yeah.
And that's because, just to go back in a bit more in the detail, your gut is not just like a skin that's just folded up into layers. There's a level of mucus everywhere.
Absolutely.
And that mucus, the more hydrated it is, the better. So things can slip through, slide out.
And that's where fibre comes in.
Fibre as well, yeah.
So you need to have, especially that soluble fibre, very, very useful. But fibre is one of those things where, you don't absorb fibre, you don't digest fibre. Fibre is not there per se for your energy requirements. Fibre is there to feed your gut biome. That's what it's there for. And it's really important because, again, like we said, it's part of your immune system. And also that's where you produce your K2. And K2 is really important for bone health. If you don't have K2, then calcium is going to go to the wrong place. It's going to go to soft tissues. It's going to go to your arteries. That's where you get high blood pressure, things like that. Well, it's one of the reasons you may get high blood pressure, aches and pains. It's because calcium's being dumped in the wrong place in soft tissues where it shouldn't be. So K2 does ensure that calcium goes to the right place.
Talking about hydration again, I want to continue on that route because it's so easy for us to just start on something else. It's such
hydration is important, and from a naturopathic point of view, we're talking about maintaining hydration, not just drinking gallons of water, because we're not actually water. We're told that we are, 60 to 70% water, but we're not. Do we really think that the fluid inside us is water? No, it's not.
It's a component of it.
It's a component of it. We need the water, but we need electrolytes, we need minerals. We are electrical beings. We need those minerals in order for us to conduct those signals. And and also it makes up our blood, it makes up our lymphatic system. We need a huge amount for digestion. We expel it in our breath.
I mean, even the brain obviously has got
absolutely
a fluid around it, because people that are dehydrated, you get a headache.
But the brain can work. Some elements of the brain is hydroelectric as well, so you're not firing properly unless you drink.
When you talk about electrolytes and minerals, what kind do you...
We're talking about a full spectrum. We're talking, magnesium and calcium are the two of the main ones that people recognise. Magnesium is a relaxer and calcium is a hardener. But we need calcium for our central nervous system, for it to fire properly, for the signals to fire properly. So it's not just for bone health.
And it's not just for the mucus in the gut lining, but it's also your lungs. I know I had problems with my lungs at one point, and that, again, dehydration got me to have asthma. And
we can't generate these substances. They're called essential because we need to take them in.
We need to take them in. Yeah.
And where do we get them from?
Food and drink.
Yeah.
Food and drink, yeah. So you've got to be careful what you put in your mouth, people.
Yeah, we are what we eat, or we are more...
Or we process.
Yeah, what we absorb. Gillian was half right. Gillian McKeith. Do you remember? You are what you eat.
Yes, the lady that was coming around to your house to check your poops.
Yeah, that's the one.
I remember back in the 90s, yeah. So hydration was the first one we talked about, and then you said energy?
Energy. Energy.
What do you mean by energy?
Energy. Now, this is a bit more of an abstract concept, but what we need to understand is that we have energy and we need to put it in the right place. And there are certain things that rob us of that energy. So we're talking about the stimulants, we're talking about the caffeines, the sugars.
Caffeine,
I know,
coffee.
I know.
I've stopped drinking coffee for
Yeah.
years now, and I've got more energy.
Yeah, it's a bit of a myth that it gives you a boost. There are some. It's always controversial, the coffee, because there are some studies out there that have indicated that it does improve cognition first thing, and athletic performance as well.
I think in moderation. And when I mean by moderation, I say a cup a day.
It would be 1 cup a day of an extremely good quality coffee, ground coffee. There are a couple of companies that I would buy from. It's the mycotoxins, and it's not necessarily the coffee that's the problem. It's the way it's stored,
the way it's dealt with, the way it's been handled and processed.
Yeah. Again, it's a processed product, isn't it? At the end of the day, but it will trigger that stress response, and that stress response, like we said, the body does not recognise the difference. So that fight, flight, fawn, run sort of response, that panic, will be triggered in the body. That adrenaline will be released. That sugar will be released into your bloodstream. If you're not using that for any particular reason, which we're not when we're having a coffee, we're not running away from things. We're not going to use that sugar. It will be packed away. How is it packed away? Insulin is released. And then that sugar is packed away again. Yeah. So all of this takes an awful lot of energy, and it robs you of nutrients, and it uses an awful lot of water, because you will want to get rid of that coffee from the body. When things are flushed through the body, through your kidneys, you are going to lose minerals.
So energy-wise / stress?
Yeah, stress is another one. It makes no difference whether it's an internal or external stress. So that stress response is triggered by environmental influences as well. And the same thing will happen. The same mechanism will happen. Adrenaline will be released. Sugar will be released.
My first advice to anybody that comes through the charity is always to say, I'm giving you permission now to stop caring about everybody else. You should care about yourself first.
Yeah.
And yes, obviously, your very close loved ones, but stop worrying about everything else around you, because you can only worry about what you can control. And that's yourself, first of all, and potentially your kids, your partner, whatever. But when they say, oh, but I always worry about everybody else. Well, look where you are now.
And sometimes that is a distraction to people, because on a subconscious level, they are not wanting to look after themselves. And that's a bitter pill to swallow.
I think it's also because we've, as one, women, two, depending on your background, your ethnic backgrounds, with the caregivers, looking after ourselves first is deemed to be very selfish.
Yeah, there's all kinds of limiting beliefs to do with...
There's loads of cultural, all of that.
Deserving to look after yourself, all kinds of things.
So people out there, I don't care who you are, where you're from, how old you are, you deserve to look after yourself first, because you are number one. If you don't look after yourself first, how can you look after others?
Yeah, fill your own cup.
Fill your own cup before you can pour into others. So stress, just do what you got to do for you.
Yeah.
And then give to others.
Yeah. So that stress robs you of energy.
It does.
And that energy we need to put into rest and repair, not into a state of defense.
And again, there's 2 levels of stress. You've got the short, sharp bursts that I love it when I'm busy suddenly.
A little bit of stress
is fine.
Can be fairly motivating. You know, things like anger can be fairly motivating. They are a lot higher vibrationally on the Hawkins scale than something like helplessness or despair or something like that. If you're feeling that little bit of anger, sometimes that can be motivating, because it means you will change something. Yeah. So if it's an acute episode,
being angry is part of releasing.
Yeah, you've got to get it out. Don't repress it. But if it's an acute episode, that's fine, because that trauma cycle is completed. But when it is repressed, when it is stored in the body, when it's chronic, when we've moved on from releasing adrenaline to releasing cortisol, this is where we get chronic stress and problems. And a lot of people have an underlying level of this and don't even realise.
This is the point I was trying to come to, is that the awareness of our own stress level is not something we're taught. And I think now that I am beyond learning how to look after myself better, still not perfect, nobody is anyway, but I am in such a happy place, at peace on the inside. I wish everybody could experience that. I'm happy with who I am.
That's the whole point, though, is to feel peaceful and
I
calm.
I am.
Yeah.
And no matter how busy I am and what's going on and so on, it's happening, but it's not happening to me anymore. I no longer let it happen to me, so it no longer affects me the way that it used to. And I am very grateful for all the learning that I've had, because all of this has led me to go, let it all go.
Yeah. And a lot of people don't, it's almost like they don't know what they don't know until something changes.
It's true. We don't know what we don't know until you come across to a podcast like this.
Well, that's quite a good point. But you don't know that you're stressed until you start fixing that stress. And then it's like, oh my goodness, this is how I should be feeling. I didn't know that.
There's a lady that I was talking to the other day, and she goes, oh my gosh, I've just realised I've been living in this fear, flight mode, whatever it is, for years, and I mean decades. I was like, yeah, it's quite possible, because life is tough out there. We're not denying that. It's tough. But yeah, you've got to get yourself out of it. Otherwise, it's going to, whatever conditions you've got will get worse and worse and worse. And no matter what pill you take, it's just not going to solve it unless you resolve it from the inside first.
Yeah.
Good. So that was the second pillar, energy/stress management. Then nutrition, we've kind of talked about that already. We know. Good, real food, people.
Yeah.
As much as possible. Okay? Or if you're going to have something that's just classified as bad for you, then you know what you got to do afterwards to, counteract that effect. But there's one that not many people touch on, that, which I've called cleansing.
Ooh, cleansing techniques. One of my favourites.
Can we talk about that?
People...
What's the concept of cleansing? What do you mean, like having a shower?
Cleansing is, even though we're constantly surrounded by things, I mean, we are constantly surrounded by toxins that we can't control. We can mitigate things to a certain extent, and it's our responsibility to do that, and to have the awareness to do that, and the education maybe to be curious enough to understand and question things where they're coming from. But to a certain point, we cannot control things. Like, for instance, we can't always control what's in the air.
The breathe, breathe, yeah.
We can do what we can with water from the tap, but we can't do everything. There's chemicals in our clothes, in the carpet. We're surrounded by them. So the other edge of the sword is not just what we put into our bodies, but helping the body and supporting the body to get stuff out. And that's opening the paths of elimination. So what
are the paths of elimination?
We have our kidneys, we have our bowels, we have our lungs, we breathe it out, we have our skin. And we need to support all of those things. And that is half of the responsibility, because if you cleanse too much and you empty out toxins into your bloodstream, where are they going to go? If you don't have an outlet for that toxicity to go, it's just going to recirculate around the body and give you different problems.
And in a way, this is where something like chemotherapy, going back to cancer patients, is injected direct into the bloodstream. And although they may have finished their treatment, the impact that it has on the body does not go away just like that. It takes years for the chemotherapy to be eliminated, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, you've experienced that.
This is one of the most, important things to do, is to try and do everything you can to support the liver to get those toxins out, because the liver only has a certain capacity, and it will work in an order of hierarchy of what it needs depending on what demands it has, because obviously it's there to produce energy and a multitude of other things. So sometimes the toxins, there are a couple of pathways through the liver that are dependent on whether the toxin is water-based or fat-based. But ultimately, if there is no way out for that toxin, I mean, the body's clever, because it will find a way out.
It's very clever.
It will find a way out, and this is where
last resort, I think it's a skin issue, right?
Skin issues.
It's what I had.
It's one of our
it wasn't a toxin,
largest organs.
With my psoriasis, I can't believe how long I had that for. And I think for me, it all came down from trauma. My asthma was down to trauma, I think, and dehydration. And I just by the training course that we did, and me being the guinea pig that day, and that lady picking on me and going, okay, what's wrong with you? And me going, yeah, I've got this, I've got that. And she was, right, well, this is what you do, blah, blah, blah. I could not believe that within 2-3 weeks I was sorted.
Flax oil.
I could not. I had psoriasis for so long. I could make it snow at one point. You know, I was one of those that had like dandruffs everywhere on my shoulders. And now, nothing.
Yeah, it's such a miserable condition to have. Lots of skin conditions are.
And all it was flaxseed
miserable.
oil mixed with some protein.
Yeah.
With yogurt. You know, I didn't even do the cottage cheese thing. I didn't even blend it like the proper protocol. I didn't even follow the whole protocol the way I was supposed to. I just thought, you know what, I'm just going to make it simple. Teaspoon of flaxseed oil, mix it with my yogurt. I have that every day mixed with something else, and it sorted it out. I tell everybody now.
If only you'd known.
I tell everybody now. But yeah.
Yeah, but skin is an ideal, you know, it's...
So cleansing is important, whether it's your skin, your lungs, and so on. So if you want to know more about what the different therapies are for cleansing,
naturopaths pick up on. This is why they ask so many questions, because you know, at the end of the day, it is putting that detective hat on, and it is trying to piece things together, because there are so many sort of conditions maybe that we put labels on, but actually that is not so important to a naturopath, because when we're healing at a cellular level, you heal one cell, you heal them all.
And I love that about naturopathy. I really do. It makes much more sense to me. But but there's loads of different techniques around cleansing, and obviously people want to know more, they can come and reach out to you.
There is a protocol where there are...
You've got to do it right. Yeah, don't just go and do it nilly-willy, because...
Yeah, and it does worry me. You know, there's been a trend for castor oil.
Packs?
Yeah, and, you know, it's like castor oil is great for everything. But castor oil is great, but it's going to release toxins into the bloodstream. Then where's it going to go? It must be a complete cycle. You must work up to having the cycle to be able to eliminate it properly.
And this is where you can't just do things off your own back. Sometimes you need to find the right guidance to be able to do these things.
Yeah, absolutely. And the same goes for things like fasting and parasite cleanses and all that sort of thing. If you're depending on where you're coming from, it's always down to the individual and where they are, because everyone's in a different place. But it is probably going to do more harm than good to jump into things rather than understand that you need to make some changes and do things very gently.
Prior to even doing any kind of those therapies. But we don't do any of those at the centre, by the way, just to say. We're not at that level. We're just there to support the person. We're not there to go and fix them.
It should always be gentle, because that is the first, oath that you do no harm.
Absolutely, yeah. So that was the third pillar. Then I've got another one around physical activity and movement. Now, why is physical activity?
Moving the lymph, moving the body, keeping muscle tone. There are so many benefits, the endorphins, the mood, depression, the studies on depression and how exercise can benefit.
Yeah.
And it is literally having that release as well, because if you are
stressed,
if you've got a really stressful life and you are releasing that sugar, that is one way of getting it out of your body, is to move it out. And also, I mean, there is an element of it's very meditative. People think about meditation and they think about sitting and not thinking about anything, and you're just sitting in a room and you're quiet and blah. But for a lot of people, meditation can come from doing laps in the pool, from being on that bike, from walking, especially if you're outdoors.
This is kind of what I do when I go running.
Yeah.
I don't like running. I hate running. I just, God, why am I putting myself through it sometimes? I don't know. But I go in my own zone.
Yeah. So that's your meditation.
That's my meditation, yeah, definitely, yeah. So good. So one aspect of what you just said there is a word that I feel from all the conversations I've had over the years, people don't understand the importance of the lymphatic system. What is the lymphatic system?
Well, the lymphatic system works in tangent with your veins, basically, and it's just as extensive through your body.
So it's kind of parallel to it, isn't it? It's everywhere.
Yeah, it's everywhere. It's throughout your body. And it cleans up, it takes out all the toxins from the tissues.
All the waste.
And it delivers it to the liver, and then the liver processes it. Now, this is in theory. This is what, the ideal. And And obviously the liver will process it and it will excrete it through your bowels. But unfortunately, the lymphatic system does not have a heart to pump
There's no
the lymph
pressure in
around.
there.
There's no pressure. The pressure comes from your muscles pushing against
So
the
movement.
vessels, which is where movement comes in. Rebounding. Rebounding is the one thing that you can do that will, it's an all-round, it is the number one all-round exercise that you can do.
So rebounding,
to
for
move
those that don't know
everything.
what that is, it's that mini trampoline,
Mini
right?
trampoline.
You just gently bounce up and down.
Yeah.
Now, if you don't have one of those mini trampoline, can you do that on the floor with just lifting your heels and up and down?
Any kind of movement. Any
kind of up and down movement.
Yeah, any up and down movement. And just moving, walking.
Just
Walking is one of the best things.
Yeah. We do Tai Chi at the centre.
Yeah.
That's part of it. It's not just the energy work that with the Tai Chi comes with, but the movement as well, to get people moving a little bit.
Anything that stimulates muscle contraction is going to squeeze those lymphatic vessels and move the lymph. Now, it's very interesting because obviously with things like lymphedema and stuff like that, which a lot of women have, and is very kind of, I think it's dismissed quite a lot because people think of it as cellulite. And it's a step beyond cellulite. This is where people are holding fat in the wrong place, where the structure underneath the skin is compromised. And it's a chronic condition, and it varies. So it starts off as fairly mild and maybe not bother you so much. But actually people feel it when they have those heavy legs by the end of the day, or restless legs, or fluid
going down into the
and
legs.
gathering around ankles and things like that. I mean, that can be that could point to some kind of kidney problem, not problem, but kidney deficiency,
imbalance.
Maybe. Yeah, and again, that's linked to hydration. But lymphedema is a different kind of bloating, if you like, where it's holding on to water and stuff. So things like raising your legs in the evening will really help with that. Compression tights, stuff like that. And it's really important that we sort of acknowledge a lot of these things that are dismissed in people.
I'd like to touch on, for those people out there that have not had a cancer diagnosis, and, I'm glad for you.
Yeah.
What kind of prevention, to me, is more important?
Prevention, now this comes from a lot of different angles. The amount of support that you're giving every cell in your body. So it is following those 5 pillars. It is looking at reducing the stress that you have, whether that comes from food or the environment, making sure you've got proper hydration and that your mineral and electrolytes are holding that hydration in the cell, that you've got the good fats. Good fats are so important.
Good fats. We've not touched on good fats
good
yet.
Fats.
Your nuts, your avocados.
Yeah. Flax oil, hemp
hemp
coconut oil.
Not sunflower oil, not vegetable oil. They're not the right kind of oils. They create inflammation in the body. If you're going to cook with something, cook with the best one, avocado.
It depends. If you're sautéing, go for an olive oil, an extra virgin olive oil, or avocado oil.
High temperature,
go for coconut oil or ghee
ghee. Doesn't even have to be plant-based, people. Ghee, if you've not tried it, yes, it smells different and so on, but it's better for you.
It has a very high smoking point. It doesn't go rancid, and the protein has been burnt off. So it's the protein. If you were to cook with butter at high temperature, it will burn. We know that. And it's the proteins that are burning, the sugars that are burning, and that's the carcinogenic element. Once that's been removed and you're left with pure fat, which is what ghee is, it's then perfectly safe at a high temperature.
So, to everybody in the Asian world, ghee's fine.
Ghee's good. So go for that anti-inflammatory alkaline diet. Lots and lots of fruit and veg. Support your gut biome. Aim for 30 fruit and veg a week. 30 varieties.
So variety. Eat the rainbow. Different colours.
Rainbow. Go for things that are coloured. Reduce sugar, refined sugar, all sugar. And that includes some fruits as well. So try not to take too many exotic fruits that are really high in sugar.
1 or 2 pieces of fruit, max.
Yeah, but go for seasonal, go for local, go for berries.
Yes,
berries are full of antioxidants.
Go for where you come from, because there's a lot of people that have moved all across the world, right?
demographics are important.
Demographics is important too. So an Asian person that's
if
lived
you're from
here
the
for
southern
so long,
hemisphere,
it's not
go
the
for the
same.
tropical, go for the coconut fats
Yes.
and all that sort of. If you're from the northern hemisphere, go for the flax seed oils.
Oh, I love both, to be fair. It suits me both. It's fine. Yeah.
But no, eat seasonal, eat local. And move with the seasons as well. Don't think of yourself, don't get stuck in a rut. You know, a huge variety will cover all bases. And be guided by the light, because as we move through the seasons, that's your signal to change.
I am awake so early these days. Not so much because of the sun, but because I've got a cat that follows the sun. And I get woken up every day. But I'm loving it because I'm active as soon as the sun is up. I'm doing something and I can feel that the sun's going down by the end of the day because it's like, oh, I'm getting tired now.
Yeah, well, you tune into that and that's where your melatonin is produced, isn't it? And, you know, blue light and screens and, you know, you see it with a lot with office workers and night workers and stuff like that. Their circadian rhythm is upside down. It's affecting their sleep. It'll affect their appetite. It'll affect their mood. It affects everything.
Sleep we didn't touch on.
Sleep, so important.
Very important for
detoxing. This is what we do overnight, and it's not just the lymphatic system. You know, it gives your digestion a rest. We go into that state of rest and repair, which is what we want. This is why you shouldn't be eating too late, because we don't want to be giving the body too much to work with overnight. But also the glymphatic system, which is the lymphatic system in the brain. It has been so closely associated with Alzheimer's, a lack of sleep, because we don't have that cleansing that's happening overnight. So for any kind of mental deterioration, and also for mood, you know, again, menopause is another subject, but for a lot of women with menopause, it is those hot flushes that are waking them up constantly through the night. That sleep deprivation.
That's awful.
That is the problem, not necessarily the hot flush, but the waking up.
I'm grateful that I don't have any other symptoms at the moment. My only one is a little bit of brain fog, and I can seem to stop to forget what I'm supposed to be doing when I go into the living room.
Probably more likely to do with hydration.
I try as much as I can. I've learned my lesson. I am much more hydrated than I used to be, but I'm not always perfect.
Yeah, but then there are other adaptogens which are very, very beneficial. So things like your ashwagandha, things like your lion's mane and your mushroom tinctures and all of these things.
Super mushrooms out there, people.
Yeah, that can balance you out. Yeah.
There's so many people that I can talk to about all these different topics and, you know, essential oils and mushrooms and yeah, no, that's wonderful. And thank you. Do you have any more topics you'd like to touch on before we finish?
No, I don't think so. I think we've covered quite a lot today.
Quite a lot, yes.
Yeah, it's nice to have a chat.
Yeah, I know. Usually it's just zoom, you're doing the workshop and off you go.
Yeah, but the workshop was great. You know.
Oh, I love. So for those of you that have not been together against cancer and experienced the workshops with Emmie, not only does she give you all the background knowledge as to why you should be changing things and doing this for the different topics that she's covering, but also she brings all sorts of goodies and samples and will cook things in front of you and you get to try it all afterwards. And today I did not bring any lunch and all I had was probably half a small plate.
I think you had what was left, basically.
No, but I had a little bit of the pea soup, a little bit of the lentil cottage pie kind of thing. Some crackers, which was it oat cakes? Is that what they are?
Yeah, and we had like a tuna mayonnaise.
Tuna. It's not TCH. It was chickpeas blended to make it look like tuna and so on. Yeah. And you made your own vegan mayonnaise as well, which was really tangy, really nice.
Really easy.
Yeah, really easy. So all those recipes, when you attend the workshop, we then share them with you. So not only do you get to come in, learn a little bit, you get to taste it, and then you given the recipe. So the whole point is to show people really how to do this easily at home.
Because I don't ever want people to be overwhelmed by things. And, you know, you may not have all the things at home to make this stuff. So to come in and try it, just try it. I don't mind whether you don't like it or not. You've tried it.
No, not everything is for everybody.
Yeah, you've tried it and you've given it a go and now you know.
Yeah.
It's all about that. And that's another thing that I've been thinking about, well, I've actually realised that I need to do, because the longer I work with people, the more I've understood that I cannot make any assumptions about what people know, and that I've pared it back and back and back and back. So rather than just give people recipes, which I'm quite happy to do. I'm not precious about things at all.
Mm-hmm.
Knowledge is knowledge, and it should be there for everybody. It's not elitist.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
You know, but I can give recipes, but people may not know how to cook them. Okay, so I can't assume that they know how to cook them.
So
but
you
then
need to show them.
Yeah, so then I show people how to cook it and exactly what to do. But then I've taken it a step further than that, and is how to shop, because people are so overwhelmed.
There's too much choice out there, isn't there?
There is too much, and there's too much conflicting information.
Yeah.
And it's always about getting rid of the clutter, of that distraction, and having that confidence to know that going back to basics is what you need to do. And also listening to yourself, because what you need is not going to be
the same as what somebody else needs.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This is why it's so hard to generalise and say this. There's no one diet out there that is going to heal you.
We're all unique. I've tried all sorts in the past. I did a whole full meat diet. I did a full vegan diet. And as much as both had their advantages to a point, I feel like both of them did not suit me 100%.
No.
So I am now on a mixed level. I'm tweaking it. And what I realised, I definitely need a high good fat diet.
Yeah.
That's definitely key for me. High hydration as well. And then from there, I can just eat once a day and I'm happy.
Yeah. And I think this is where the confusion comes in from social media, is there are a lot of people out there that are saying, this will heal you, this will heal you. And it won't. There is no one.
It's a bit of trial and error,
It's trial and error, and it's taking elements of different things. And again, you will change. We're not stagnant. We're not supposed to be stagnant.
All our cells get renewed all the time.
You know, we move with the seasons, with our age, with conditions that we have, with stages that we are in life. And we flow. And that is the whole point, is that as we flow through life, that is a reflection of our body.
Mm-hmm.
So when I'm thinking about people that are stagnant in their lives, that is a reflection of their lymphatic system. They're usually stagnant within their bodies as well. So you move their bodies, you get things moving in the bodies. Quite often it'll move in their lives.
Thank you for that. That's great advice there. Last tip. So for people that want to connect with you, what's the best way for them to do that?
Best way is to have a look at my website. They can read about what I do.
What is your website?
www.hummingbird.naturopath.com.
Okay.
Or alternatively, they can email me directly at emmie@hummingbird.naturopath.com.
And you've got a Facebook page.
I have a Facebook page. I have an Instagram page. I am Hummingbird_naturopath on Instagram.
And it's literally a hummingbird,
It's
in the black logo.
Look for Hummingbird Naturopath and you'll find me.
If you can't find Emmie, then message us at the charity and we'll forward the details on to you. It's not a problem. But yeah, thank you so much for today.
It's been a blast.
Great. Loved it. Thank you.